What is the burning cord that keeps our families together? Hi, my name is I Am McCullum, and in this podcast, Tales of the StarDust, I will be telling you stories from antiquity and world mythology, but in a different light and different perspective, with stories that you can incorporate in your everyday life, because these stories have been told from generations to generations, and there must be some meaning to them. So come and join me as we dive deep down in today's story. Hestia was the goddess of the hearth in Greek mythology, and she's not really known for being in any myths, because a lot of myths in Greek mythology, as you can see, deals with a lot of jealousy, a lot of rage, and it's usually the big spontaneous myths that really get our attention because they're so out there and just so flamboyant. But kind of around the series, I've been focusing on the unsung heroes of Greek mythology. And this unsung hero is Hestia, who is the goddess of the hearth and the home. And she really does stay out of any of the gods' shenanigans. And she really just stays home and maintains the hearth. And another key aspect is she's also a virgin goddess. She relies on herself, just like Athena and like Artemis. In the last episode, we described the key aspects of Athena and Artemis, and this episode, I really just want to focus on Hestia. But to recap, Athena usually represents like law and order and strategy, and Artemis represents focus and freedom. But there's one aspect of Hestia that is really only seen through Hestia, and that is compassion, her love for her family, and the hearth that she brings. Now, a hearth is essentially a fireplace, but it was more than that in ancient Greece, because in an ancient Greek home, we can obviously see that they needed fire to survive. And usually in a normal house, they would have one hearth, and that would be where the cooking was done, where you could keep warm. It was where the family would always be. Now, in the modern day, we probably don't have fireplaces. I don't have a fireplace, but we do have living rooms, and in the 1950s, you usually saw the TV and all the family would be by the TV. And that was considered the hearth of the home, the place where the family would go and stay together. On Mount Olympus, Hestia is seated in the middle of the court of the gods and maintaining the internal flame of Olympus. Now, Hestia did have a seat amongst the gods, but when Dionysus, the youngest out of all the gods, came, she gave up her seat for him so he could be part of the family. And like I said before, she's not in many myths. In fact, some cultures and some references don't even reference her as a woman necessarily or a woman figure. They just see her as a flame because she just blends into the background. But she is that flame that is always there. And she never went to battles like Athena. She never thrown her wrath on humanity like Hera. She was always just content and always protecting the eternal flame. So why is she so important to the gods? And why is she so important to the Olympians? Well, she is very important because she's the hearth of the home. And even there's not many stories about her, she has a very important role, and that is what probably most gods in Greek mythology, and sometimes us, overlook. We don't use hearths anymore, as I said. Even if we have fireplaces in our homes, sometimes we may not understand the importance of our ancestors. However, the hearth stands as more than just survival. It stands for family. It stands ever since mankind discovered and started to create fire. It brought human packs together because as a species, we are very social creatures. There is no such thing as a lone wolf. In order to survive, we need to stay in a pack together. That is how Homo sapiens became humans. That's how we became ourselves today. And that is where the Hearth stands, and Hestia is the only one protecting it willingly. Throughout the Greek Pantheon, of all these amazing stories that were told, there was one characteristic between the gods, how they acted and the way they were to each other, not necessarily to humanity, but to themselves. Because if you really think about it, at the end of the day, they're all one family. Yes, a big dysfunctional family, like all of us. They have countless stories of making one god mad or the other god mad, fighting siblings, fighting parents, all of the above. But at the end of the day, when all the gods take back their seats on Olympus, Hestia is the one that keeps the love and the hearth. And this really isn't the Aphrodite passionate love per se, but it's love that no matter what it is, we are still family, and that we still have each other, and we need to stay with each other in order to be strong. Now, Hestia is an independent goddess. She's a virgin goddess. Then some people would want to ask, well, then why does she rely on the family if she only relies on herself? Well, I wouldn't say that she relies on the family. The family relies on her. All the gods do not represent family. They represent the sea, lightning, hunt, and music. I believe that sometimes, like the other gods, that we forget that family is a puzzle piece, is the middle puzzle piece of our whole puzzle of our lives. That we can sometimes forget that there is a goddess for family and the hearth. And I think before we were all forced to be in our homes for the past year, we just kind of forgot. And because they're always there, and we always take them for granted. And the thing was, some of us were shoved in the face with our families for the year, and some of us kind of lost our families for the year. And we realized that there was something there. Because in the end of the day, Hestia represents family that loves and supports us no matter what we do or whatever we do. The fire will always keep going, and it will always provide warmth, protection, and survival. And we can always pressure what we want to do in life, but when we turn back, we can always know that family, the warm, loving bond that we have with our parents, grandparents, siblings, pets, all that we let into our homes, they will always be there. But sometimes ourselves, we need to keep that fire going. As you can see, Hestia keeps the fire of that eternal flame on Olympus going no matter what. And sometimes we need to take that part, and we need to kind of be like Hestia and keep that fire going. Because sometimes it can die out, and that's normal for fire, but it's up to us to really keep it going. And we don't have fireplaces anymore in our homes. We have our phones, we have FaceTime, we have all these things where we can keep that fire and that bond just keep on growing. So just for today, maybe let's give our dad a call or our mom a call and just kind of talk to them and rekindle that connection that we have with our families. Because in the end of the day, we're always there for them and they're always there for us. Thank you so much for listening to Tales of the StarDust. If you'd like to hear more content like this, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @im_McCullum. And as always, let the stars be your guide.